Welcome to Rauta's zine reviews. I'm Jerry, and this time I will talk about a war metal zine, or like the saying goes, Bunker of Bestial, a Bestial war metal zine, number 3, 2024. Now this is classic A5 size of a zine, very old school in the terms of being small size instead of A4, and also in many other ways, very simplistic take on the whole thing. This comes with a small poster. It's kind of cute because it's so small. Then again, you really can't put bigger one inside the stuff unless you start folding. Obviously, blasphemy poster this time. Now, this zine is made of very many cult acts. Some of them you will see on the cover. Antichrist, Siege Machine, who have new album out, by the way. Vengeance Hammer, Hellfire Death Cult, etc. Also bands like Sarcophago and the like. Now, there's more than 90 pages overall, which sounds like a lot to read, but of course when it's A5 size versus compared to, say, Bardo Methodology, which is A4, so twice the size, obviously not that much to read. Really, this font is rather small, so in that sense, there's a lot of stuff printed on each of the pages. There are not too many photos. The photos are more like stamp size, so they're not taking too much room, but also makes them rather like, I mean, even if I had my glasses on, I would say like, can't really make out the details and all that stuff. The same goes for logos and all that stuff. But of course, the most important stuff is, you know, the lyrical content, the words and all that stuff. There are a few reviews which I found rather useless in this kind of magazine, but in case you are interested in some of that, well, they're here. So it's mostly about these interviews. And now the question is, are they interesting enough? Are they good enough? Is this worth buying for? Now, that's kind of a trick question because I would say this is mediocre zine in so many ways. It's not a bad one. It's not really a great one. Now, let's first tackle the good ones. The good one is there's a nice selection of bands. And that alone is a nice thing to have. I mean, you don't want to buy a zine which has something like 5 interviews and that's it. Unless you really go for the deeper ones, in probably which case you would rather have 5 deeper ones than, say, 20 just light and easy to read ones. Now, these go between the two extremes. These are not exactly the super short ones, nor are they deep ones. So I'm saying the length is pretty okay for each and individual interviews. I would say some of these interviews should have been a lot lengthier than this, but sometimes you just run out of room, especially in the legacy format like paper. But still, I would say rather cut the interview amounts in half and maybe go deeper, and then it would be better. Now, when it comes to the written format of these interviews, I would say once again they are between good and bad. The good thing is there are some really interesting questions, quite often in fact, which I find very, very tempting to read. And as such, it's like, okay, this gives some insight how the things are done, and it's fascinating for the readers to learn new facts. Then also there are lots of cringe moments, especially when I'm humbly kneeling before you. Thank you so much for this. That's kind of a bullshit nobody wants to read. First, it gives you a little bit cringe, like worship moment, like, oh, I'm looking up to you as a reader, as an interviewer, like, please, Mr. Blasphemy Guy, can I really, do an interview with you? No, don't get me wrong, I'm just joking here, but I know already the magazine writer is angry with me, so it doesn't really hurt if I do a little bit joking around here. I'm just saying this is not even like humble way to approach the artist, but more like, I'm such a big fan of your band that I want to do anything for you to answer my questions and all that stuff. And it feels cringy. Also, there are some repetitive, kind of a silly questions sometimes, which makes me feel like, why? There could have been a lot of those better questions, repetitive one after another in these interviews, which are way better. But like I said, those cringe moments are far and few between, so it doesn't really bother, but it gets to annoy me, or at least entertain me every now and then, because so many interviews start the same way. And it feels like it's a 15-year-old kid doing the very first scene. Another thing which I found more annoying, in fact, is that this is probably done with the translation tools. Nothing wrong as such, as long as you know how to do English properly. But it feels like this is done by a German guy. I mean, it is done by a German guy who has clearly translated the words into English and then capitalized certain letters which should not supposed to be capitalized in English, and on the other way around also uncapitalized some of the words which should be capitalized, like the word I, meaning I, which should be always capitalized. So it's more like giving this impression it's done poorly. It's like nobody bothered to proofread, I mean someone who actually knows English language. Sometimes also I think some of these questions are lost in translation, like probably some questions came out wrong way, maybe even this kneeling part, because it's probably done under translation machine. And it gives a little bit weird, like did this artist, for example, understand the questions properly, or did the interviewer actually understand what the artist is replying correctly, because it's just so weird. Now, I'm not a native speaking English person, so of course I don't get to bitch about it in such ways, but I would say more focus on quality and proofreading rather than just keep the errors going on for more than 90 pages. Now, it's throughout the same, and over time it kind of starts getting annoyed, even if you get used to it. So overall, to give my final verdict of this zine. First of all the bands are war metal bands, more or less, even if they're more death metal side or black metal side or black trash, death trash, what have you. And this gets kind of a monotone because a lot of these bands sound, in a way, the same. I mean, it's good for the fanatics of war metal fans, but sometimes I also feel this is just made for the person doing it. It's like not so much for the audience, giving more, I don't know, different ideas and different artists and catering to different needs. It's more like, I did this just for myself kind of approach. And that gets a little bit repetitive or even silly to a certain degree. So my final verdict would be 3 stars out of 5. Like I said, it's not bad, but it could be a lot better. Then again, there are some good questions, some interesting band choices and all that stuff, which definitely makes this worth reading. So unless you're paying silly amounts of money for this one, I would say go buy it if you like these war metal bands. But if you then again don't give a shit about war metal or tanks, which the writer seems to be obsessed with, then this is probably not for you or value for your money. I'm saying there are some quality problems, including the images and the language, which need to be fixed in order to get a higher rating, higher ranking. But that's just my opinion. Now, all these words being said, I'm guessing whoever did this zine, the man from Germany, is probably like really, really angry and really, really upset about me because I'm being just honest and kind of annoying with this zine as well. But like I said, if you can look behind those minor problems and all that stuff, give this one a go. It's most certainly not 5-star thing like Pardo methodology, but then again, I have read a lot worse zines in my life, so quite okay if you don't mind those smaller problems. That being said, check out the zine from the website I have linked in the description box if you're interested, and if not, now off you go. Take care and bye bye.